We all know these divisive narratives, right? They often use a very specific trick. They push us to think only in terms of groups and, in the process, make us completely forget the individual person behind them. But, and this is the good news, there is a scientifically proven antidote. One that all of us already have: empathy. And today, yes today, we are going to take a closer look at just how powerful this tool really is. So, where is the key? Well, it's not about endlessly discussing abstract groups. No, the trick is to completely shift the focus onto a single person and their very personal story. Let's think about this honestly. What actually happens in our minds when that anonymous group, those people, suddenly becomes a human being? Someone with a name, a face, and their own story? But why is this shift in perspective so incredibly effective? Well, it's because prejudice builds a kind of psychological wall that separates us from others. And that wall is exactly what we need to take a closer look at first. Do you know this? As soon as we start talking only about the refugees or the homeless, something really dangerous happens. The individual person simply disappears. Invisible, and this abstraction makes it very easy for us to devalue or even fear entire groups. And of course, that is the perfect breeding ground for divisive narratives. So, this is where it gets really interesting. Scientifically speaking, in 1997, a team of researchers set up a truly bold experiment. They asked a simple but powerful question: is there a way to break through this wall of prejudice in a scientifically measurable way? And that was essentially the core question. Very simple, but incredibly profound. Can feeling empathy for just one person really change our opinion about an entire group? Just imagine that. The design of the experiment was brilliantly simple. Imagine this. Participants listened to the personal story of one individual. But here's the key point. One half of the participants was told to stay completely objective. The other half received one crucial instruction: try to truly put yourself in this person's shoes. Feel what they feel. And afterwards, the researchers measured everyone's attitude toward the entire group. Now here's the crucial point. The researchers didn't make it easy for themselves. Quite the opposite. They put their experiment through a real stress test, with groups that are extremely stigmatized. And the final group in particular really puts our empathy to a tough test. So, did it work? Could this simple instruction, this short interview, really shake deeply rooted prejudices? Okay, let's look at the results. The answer was a clear, loud yes. It worked. The group that engaged empathetically with the story of this young woman with AIDS showed a measurably more positive attitude afterward, toward all people with AIDS. The difference was really significant. And you know what? That was not a one-time effect. The pattern repeated. With the story of a homeless man, the effect was even stronger. The same result again: empathy for one person, a more positive view of the entire group. Incredible, right? But now comes the ultimate test. This is no longer about people in difficult life situations. This is about perpetrators. Can empathy really break through even this extreme barrier? And what happened here is simply fascinating. Immediately after the experiment, the effect was almost zero. You might have thought, okay, it didn't work, internal resistance was too strong. But, and this is the real sensation, when participants were asked again 1 or 2 weeks later, the effect suddenly appeared, and very clearly. Researchers call this the sleeper effect. It's as if empathy kept working quietly in the background and then changed attitudes in a lasting way. Incredible. So, these are the results from the lab. Interesting, sure, but what does that mean for us? For our everyday lives? For our society? Because this is much more than just numbers from an old study. Look, this captures the mechanism perfectly. Empathy breaks apart these abstract, cold labels. The anonymous, maybe even threatening group, the refugees, suddenly becomes Ahmed, who wants to protect his sister. A human being with feelings, with motives we can understand. And just like that, it's no longer about them, but about a person. There is even a technical term for this: empathy generalization. It sounds complicated, but it's actually simple. It is the scientific proof that positive feelings toward one person can extend to the entire group. Like a spark, a small human connection can change the bigger picture. So, what do we do with this knowledge now? Because this is not just something academic that you hear once and then forget. No, every one of us, including you, can use this. You know, empathy is often dismissed as something naive, as if it makes you weak. But this science shows us the exact opposite. Empathy is not a weakness. It is, as it says here, perhaps our greatest human strength. A powerful tool that makes us resilient against division. That means we can actually reduce prejudice. One story at a time. Every single time we take the time to truly listen to one person's story, we build a small bridge. We help tear down these walls of dehumanization. And all it takes is a bit of curiosity and the willingness to simply listen. Maybe you're already thinking of a specific encounter, or a story that completely changed your view of an entire group of people. Which one was it? I would find it really interesting to read about it, so feel free to write it in the comments. Thanks for being here. Today, a study by Batson from 1997 was discussed. Do you have questions or topics you'd like me to cover? Feel free to email me at youtube@empowermigra.com. EmpowerMigra, understanding begins with listening.